Hey, what is up, guys? Kind of new to, well, not new to the nerfing scene, but new to the kind of nerfing community, I guess we should say. But I wanted to start kind of putting my thoughts out there because I do have a lot of thoughts. And to start out with, I wanted to talk about something that is very near and dear to my heart in this community, and that is revolvers. I love a Nerf revolver, especially a front load revolver like this. I mean, we've seen a lot of them over the years. I mean, it really kind of started for me with the Maverick. The Maverick was my first Nerf blaster ever. Had several of those, and then they kind of updated it with the Strong Arm XD, which is really just a repaint. It had the same internals. There wasn't really anything special about it. Just different paint jobs. And then we had kind of a shift from that towards, for a long time, the community, the hobby was going towards the hammer shot. Which, don't get me wrong, I love a good hammer shot. I love a good hammer prime revolver. Two-handed, being able to dual wield, for me that's a big thing. And then Dart Zone came out swinging with the original Blitzfire, which had that weird kind of pop-up grenade launcher looking sight thing with the dart storage. I wasn't really a fan of that. I kind of always just ripped those off. And then they came out with the Blitzfire X2, which was this, essentially, but just in the blue and green, like the classic Dart Zone colors. And it was the two-pack, the blue with the green accents, and then the green with the blue accents. And those were pretty... I don't think a lot of people everybody underestimated what that blaster was going to be capable of, I think. Personally, I really like it. It's very kind of, svelte, feels very good in the hand. It's not large. If we compare it to, like, a strong arm, you can kind of see size difference. Let me back up a little here. Like, strong arm is much bigger. I mean, yeah, you are getting the ability to slam fire, and you can, open your cylinder up. But I feel like those features are kind of what led to the size difference, between this and, say, this, because this feels very compact, very, pointable. It's a lot easier to holster this thing than it is a strong arm, for sure. Now, you don't really have... Because, like, on the strong arm, you had these claw hooks here, which were meant so that you could dual wield them. You still had to, like, rack the slide every time. Now, these don't have that, so you kind of lose the ability. Like, you can't do that. But I mean, it's a very comfortable blaster. It's very pointable. I think that there's a lot of merit and value to be had in a package like this, especially at the cost. I mean, you're getting, for $13.99, you're getting two ready to go, 6-shot revolvers, which is one more than the hammer shot carries. So, I mean, and I know that there's a lot of aftermarket cylinders out there you can print for the hammer shot, that increase capacity and stuff like that. There's a lot of aftermarket stuff out there for the hammer shot. But for the price, for a beginner, somebody just getting in, or somebody who, is trying to set up an easy, simple, like, HVZ loadout, like, these are perfect for HVZ, in my opinion. Very easy to holster. You can keep them on your hips, or you can have one on your hip and, one in a chest rig or something like that. No problem. The new nitro shot darts, I do think that they're definitely an improvement on the classic kind of waffle head dart. Not that there's anything wrong with these inherently, but yeah, by comparison, I think that the nitro shot darts, the ones with the green tips, are just a little bit better. And I don't know where that dart went. It is lost to the wind. We'll find it in a minute here. But yeah, no, and the fact that, you know, the new ones, the nitro shot ones just come in my color. I absolutely love purple. So that was just a bonus for me. But I mean, if you really want to talk about improved darts for these things, these heavier darts, like the pro darts, actually do really well in these, and these have got a lot of pop for, you know, such a small package. I'll say that. The dart fit in the cylinders is a little bit loose at the front, and it doesn't really get snug till you've got it in about that far. So the air seal in these cylinders isn't great, I don't think. But that does not stop it from being absolutely fantastic. You do have, on the top, you do have their kind of, not Picatinny, but their dart zone rail, which, I mean, there's not really much out there. You've got, like, the Spectrum sight, but that on something like this, I don't really think is practical. There is a built-in sight there, which anybody from the real steel world or whatever, like, that's going to be functional enough. It's not too different from like a traditional Glock sight or anything like that, if you kind of know how to point and shoot. But for most people, I mean, it's not got the kind of range where you're going to really need that anyway. This is kind of just like, just point in the general direction, right? And it'll, you know, get where it's supposed to go. The only thing that I kind of wish was different, and I understand, again, cutting down on the size, look at how small of a package that we have got. But when you prime it, you've got this rod sticking out the back, right? And again, I understand, like, this, size-wise, compared to this, there's a lot more blaster here. If we look at the length of where that rod kind of sticks out at the end, it's still within the shell of the strong arm. So that, like, in the strong arm, it's all self-contained, right? But, I mean, and I understand why it's necessary. It's just something that I'm not, you know, as big of a fan of, but it doesn't hurt performance, it doesn't hurt functionality, anything like that. It does kind of have a sling loop here if you wanted to sling it. Personally, I find that really the only kind of sling that you're going to be getting on this thing is like an old school sling with, like, I don't really know how else to describe it other than like a shoestring at the end, as opposed to like a carabiner clip. It's not going to work with any of those slings. But personally, I don't really think this is meant to be run on a sling anyway. I know you do have those people, because I've seen people do it with the strong arm where they put their sling here and strap it up to their shoulders, and they just kind of prime off the shoulder, which is, you know, one way of doing it if that's your style. But I don't really think that's going to work with this without some modification. I mean, that's pretty much it feature-wise. Again, you got more rail down here. I don't think really any dart zone attachments that are going to work with that, but for what this is, at the price point that it is, the size that it is, it's kind of already set up, ready to go. You're not doing anything fancy with this. It's not a Max Outlaw. It's not a hammer shot. It is, you know, pick it up off the shelf, maybe put a bigger spring in it, depending on, you know, what the capacity, you know, the cap of your local wars is. I mean, but even then, like, realistically, even with a spring upgrade, I don't really see this ever exceeding the 150 that most parks and clubs play at. So realistically, I mean, it's out of the box. It's already hitting between like 80 and 85. At least from my testing with these nitro shot darts, it's hitting between 80 and 85. I mean, some of them are a little bit low, you know, in the 70 to 75-ish, but for the most part, you're going to be hitting about 80. Accuracy is better than flywheelers. Obviously, there's no way to attach any kind of rifling, like a SCAR or a B-car or anything like that to this because of the fact that it is an open cylinder mechanism. One thing that I will note about this, and I don't truly understand the purpose of it, I guess, other than just to keep you from rotating. So it rotates obviously this way, and it does rotate on the trigger pull, so that does make it nice for reloading. But one thing that I've noticed is, and I don't know if you can see it in there, there's a little, if you look at the top in there, there's a little flap, and as far as I can tell, the only thing that does is prevent you from rotating the cylinder backwards. Which I'm not a huge fan of. I mean, you can obviously rotate it backwards. The mechanism doesn't like it. It really doesn't. And that's okay, I guess, unless you've fired, you know, a dart and you want to rotate it back one more and just top off. It doesn't let you do that. So now, if you fired one, you've got to rotate it all the way around to where you can fit it in from the one of the two front loading posts. And that is one of the downsides that you lose from the strong arm, because with the strong arm, you pop it open and you can get at 4 of them at once and spin it pretty quick to get it all. With the Blitzfire X2s, you cannot do that because one, there's no mechanism to pop a cylinder out to open it, and two, this kind of front muzzle thing is kind of chunky, so they had to do 2 cutouts here. I mean, which is fine, because for any of you who have like fired any like Colt single action armies or like done any cowboy action shooting or whatever with real steel revolvers, again, you'll know that's kind of similar to how old school revolvers were anyway. You had one single loading port and you would put your dart in, click to the next one, put a dart in, click to the next one, and so forth and so forth. We're going to take that out because that's actually one of my elite Ninja Turtle darts, so we don't want to put that in there. But yeah, that's kind of my opinion. I mean, for my HVZ loadout, when I start putting my HVZ loadout together, I am probably going to give these a minor paint job. The purple one, like all the purple is going to stay purple, but I'm gonna spray paint all the green bits white, and same thing on this one. All the purple is going to stay purple. I'll spray paint all the green into white. It's kind of the color scheme that I'm going to be going for this year, along with my primary and secondary. And that is something that I do want to mention about these as well. These, while the strong arm, I would say you could pretty well consider this a secondary, because there are more aftermarket mod options for it. The ease of use, ease of accessibility, just the slam fire. There's a lot of features that make this a good secondary. This is where we get into the debate of secondary versus sidearm, right? Because I'm not building a whole loadout around this blaster. I'm just not. This is something small and easy to use that I can keep tucked on my person, relatively low profile, and whip it out in an emergency. But I'm not necessarily building a loadout around it like you can with the strong arm, right? So, yeah, that's kind of my opinion on the Blitzfire X2 Nitro Shot Pack. I don't have the numbers for the darts as far as like what it's doing FPS wise, accuracy wise. I'm not really set up for that right now. I've recently transitioned into a new place, and I still have to get some stuff set up and acquire some more gear to really get that dialed in. So, but that's my opinion on the Blitzfire X2s. Hopefully you guys appreciate some of that and you learned something from it. This has been a quick video from me, and I hope to see you guys again sometime soon. Blast on, and have a great day.